Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Baku Babe, the Bakugo himself, Lord Explosion, murder in all his glory, here to save you from that time of the month. Well, kinda. And today he is paired with a female listener. So without further ado, I bring to you Quirk Domination, Bakugo X female listener. Hey, have you seen Yin? Mina asked as she bounced into the classroom, books clutched in one hand. No, I haven't, Momo said with concern as she turned to her pink-skinned classmate. She didn't come out for dinner last night either. Yeah, she disappeared pretty quickly after class yesterday too, Jiro added in as she walked over. But she seemed very tense yesterday and lashed out at Dark Shadow, which is unusual. They usually get along well. Mina hummed. I'm a little worried about her, she added. If she doesn't come to school today, I'll go and check on her in the afternoon. Bakugo had been sitting there quietly, listening in on the conversation going on between the girls, and scowled to himself. Damn extras, they're going to leave it that long? He thought with concern and annoyance, annoyed that he hadn't noticed your absence yet, despite being keenly aware of your presence at all times, and also annoyed that he even cared. But he knew he cared. He had cared about you ever since he had laid eyes on you. You had that absolutely legal face card that had him head over heels, although he never showed it. Or if he got the opportunity to talk to you, he would just snap at you and march off with a blush on his face. Typical Bakugo behaviour. Do you think that she's mad at one of us? Momo asked worriedly. I don't think so, Mina replied. Although Bachi being off is always a tell if Yin is feeling the same way. She can be read quite well through her quirk. Bachi was your quirk. You hailed from a long line of yokai wielders. Yokai was also known commonly as ghosts, but your Bachi was more than a simple ghost to you. He was a fiercely loyal companion who protected you, obeyed you, and more importantly in this case, fed off your emotions and showed your true emotions. Bachi was a black fox wolf-looking creature with rather sharp features and iridescent blue eyes. He stayed by your side at all times and had been with you since you were 4. You loved him dearly and he loved you too. Aizawa entered the classroom then, and the chatter about you died down, but Bakugo was getting more and more annoyed that there could be a possibility of something being wrong with you, and no one was doing anything about it. Damn extras, he growled internally. I'll go and check on her myself. So when the first break came, he left the school and headed over to the dorm rooms. He didn't care if he got in trouble for not being in class, he was more worried about your safety. Exiting the elevator on your level, he walked down the hall with hands in pockets, aiming for your door and listening when he got closer. Oi! He shouted from the other side of the door, banging his fists on it. Open up, circus act! The only sound that replied to his quite aggressive demand was the sound of Bachi growling, and he snapped at your yokai. Shut up, damn fox ghost! Where the hell is Yin? He shouted at the closed door. Bakugo? You called out to him. What? He snapped. You said in a feeble voice. I need... What? He snapped again. I'm coming in. Wait. No, you can't. Bachi will... But your plea fell on deaf ears as a sudden explosion was shot at your door, blowing it off its hinges and making you cower under your bed covers as wood chips flew everywhere. Come at me! Bakugo barked through the exploded door, his call of challenge being met by an enraged Bachi who threw himself at Bakugo and lashed onto the blonde's arm, his sharp teeth penetrating the skin in a second. Oh no, you gasped when you saw the pair fighting through your broken door. Oh, I knew this was going to be bad the second he turned up. Of all people, it had to be my crush. This is why Bachi's even more out of control, you wailed internally. Stumbling out of bed, still in your pyjamas, you tried to call Bachi off, but he wasn't having any of it. He had locked his sights onto Bakugo, determined that he was bad because of your heart rate now being up, and decided that he had to go. Bachi, come! Bachi down! You called feebly, your whispered calls not even reaching your faithful yokai's ears as he and Bakugo fought. The pair wrestled and tousled and dodged each other's attacks, and all you could do was watch on helplessly, your body finally giving up and collapsing you onto the ground. Please, you whispered. Help. Your body started to go cold and tingly, and a ringing sound increased in your ears. Bakugo's crackling and explosions didn't help either with your sudden hearing loss, but as you slowly slumped over more, your posture alerted Bakugo to something being really off, and he caught Bachi around the neck and pinned him to the ground under him, one bleeding arm holding Bachi down, while the other hand kept hold of one of his front legs. Listen, He panted at the wound-up yokai. Something is wrong with Yin. I need to figure out what it is, and if I have to blast you to get to her, I'll do it, he threatened. Bachi continued to growl under him, but the more Bakugo spoke, the more Bachi calmed, until Bakugo let him go and then jumped up and ran to your side. Oi, he called, grabbing your shoulder and shaking you. What's wrong? Bachi came limping over, too, and sniffed you, looking at Bakugo with his brilliant blue eyes. What is it, you damn yokai? What's wrong with her? He snapped. Tell me or I'll blast you. Bachi whined and looked over through your blown-apart door, and Bakugo looked too, not understanding what he was on about. What? He snapped. I don't know what you're saying. Bachi turned and limped over through the door and picked his way over the rubble, butting his nose up against one of your drawers in your chest of drawers. Bakugo marched in over the top of the rubble too, and grabbed for the handle of the drawer that Bachi had pointed out, and then yanked the drawer open, looking in at all the different types of pads, underwear, and cup-looking things that were inside there. He just stared at them for the longest time, until Year 6 Health Education class came flooding back to him and he slammed the drawer shut in a hurry. So it's that time, huh? He grunted at Bachi. So what? Bachi turned and limped out of the door and buried his nose into the side of your neck and whined long and loud, enough to bring you back round a bit, and you stirred and then weakly lifted an arm to place it on his neck. Food, you whispered. Bachi. Get out of the way, Bakugo snapped at your yokai, grabbing for you and scooping you up easily in his arms. You haven't eaten in 2 days, have you? He grunted. Were you too weak? He asked. Why didn't you eat, idiot? No, you whispered, being just with it enough to hear him, but not having the strength to open your eyes to look at him. What is it then? He grunted as he carried you down to the kitchen area with Bachi limping behind him. You wanted to reply to him, but it took all of your strength just to whisper your other 2 lines that you really didn't have the stamina to say anymore, so just let him carry you to the lounge near the cooking area. While you lay on the lounge, Bakugo made food for you, constantly telling Bachi to move out of the way, since your yokai seemed to realise that this angry guy was trying to help you, and kept hovering around him, getting in the way underfoot. Finally, the soup that Bakugo had been making was finished, and he carried it over to you and placed one hand under your head to lift you up a little so you could get some of the soup contents into your mouth. I'll blow on it, he said as he gently pursed his lips and blew on the soup, and then placed the spoon between your lightly parted lips and tilted it so the contents would flow onto your tongue and trickle down your throat. It was a slow-moving process, but eventually you had enough food in you to be able to open your eyes and sit up, and then when you got stronger, you moved to be able to feed yourself. Thank you, you said softly to him as he sat there and watched you eat, having pulled up a chair and straddling it backwards. So what happened to you? He asked gruffly, lifting an arm up and away, when Bachi lowered his head and rubbed it onto his side. Quit it, he growled to your yokai. He likes you, you said with an amused smile. You must have won his trust. Damn yokai, he muttered. Why didn't you come out of your room? It's embarrassing, but it's my... You started to say. Yeah, I saw, Bakugo grunted. Your yokai showed me. Knowing Bakugo had seen inside your drawer suddenly made you feel that much more embarrassed, and your face suddenly felt hotter than the bowl of soup that you were holding. What about it? He asked sharply. Well, Bachi reacts heavily to my emotions and the state of my body. If I'm in pain, he's very aggressive to everyone around him and won't let me move much. If I keep trying to do things that he feels like I can't do, he'll even growl at me and block my path. It's a good thing, but also not a good thing, especially if I'm trying to get out of my room to get food or other items. He'll block the door. But then, if I don't get food, my blood sugar drops and I get weaker, and then he gets even more out of control, and then I can't control him, and it ends up like this. I always have low blood sugar, and it gets worse around this time too, unfortunately, you said sadly. I need to make sure I eat regularly. Why don't you call me then? Bakugo snapped. I'm the strongest. I can take your stupid quirk on. Bachi let out an indignant growl, and Bakugo glared at him. I beat you once already. I could do it again, you damn yokai, he snarled. Bachi cowered at his words and lay his ears flat on his head, tail wagging lightly as he begged for forgiveness. You watched on with amazement. Bachi didn't back down for anyone. He was always such a confident and consistent companion, but maybe this was a good thing that Bakugo had at least a little control over him. You had faith now that if anything went wrong, you could rely on Bakugo to help you out. If I need help, I'll make sure to call for you, you said to him, avoiding eye contact, Since Bakugo's sharp red eyes were hard for you to look directly into, you had enough of a crush on him already, let alone looking him in the eye. That was way too much. Good, now eat, Bakugo ordered, and you did so, relishing in the delicious warm soup. Since Bakugo had disappeared and you hadn't appeared at the school that day, Aizawa came to investigate shortly after you had finished your soup and found you and Bakugo in the kitchen area. What's going on? He asked sternly. Sir, I'm so sorry, you said quickly. Her quirk went rogue, so I had to show him I'm stronger, Bakugo said firmly, getting up and walking around to stand slightly in front of you. Not necessary, Aizawa said. Yin, what happened? Sir, it's as Bakugo said. I was having a hard time controlling Bachi due to low blood sugar and other things, but Bakugo came and helped me and made me some soup, and I feel better now, I promise. I blasted her door off, Bakugo then suddenly added in, and you remembered that, yes, he had indeed blasted your door off its hinges, and you facepalmed. Why are you like this? Aizawa whispered softly in a defeated voice. I'm sorry this happened, sir, you said apologetically. Yin, there's a spare room opposite Bakugo's room. You'll sleep in there tonight. Bakugo, you'll be helping to fix that door that you murdered, Aizawa said. Thank you, sir, you said gratefully to Aizawa. He just nodded and then turned to go. Bakugo, back to class, and Yin, take your time and move things to the spare room. It's open, he added as he left the kitchen area. If you need me tonight, knock on my door, Bakugo said before leaving, and you let out a loud sigh and looked over at Bachi. I can't believe all of that happened, you said with a smile. He actually spoke to me and is now offering to help me. Wow. Bachi wagged his tail lightly and tilted his head at you. He didn't quite understand what was going on, but you seemed happy, and that was good enough for him. You took your time moving that afternoon, and although it was taxing, you got enough stuff moved over so that you didn't have to be going back and forth between the rooms for the next few days, and settled down in that room for the night. Opposite my crush's room, you thought with a smile as you prepared for bed that night. The bowl of soup Bakugo had made you lasted you a long time, and you were pretty washed out, so fell into bed at 7:30 p.m, and before you knew it, you were out like a light. It was around 1 a.m. that you woke feeling anxious. Your eyes popped open, and you became aware of your body feeling weak, cold, and a little clammy. Oh my blood sugars have dropped, you thought, as you went to get out of bed. At the end of your bed, Bachi opened his iridescent eyes and looked at you. I need to go and get something sweet, you said to him as you stumbled to the door. Quick as a flash, he jumped into your path and blocked you from getting to the door. No, Bachi, I'm okay. I just need to get my sugars up again, you said, but he wouldn't budge. You went to step around him, but he moved quickly and blocked you again, letting out a low growl and showing his teeth at you. Bachi, stop, you snapped, starting to feel panicky, but your panic only fueled him, and he whined and then growled again and pushed his body into your legs. No, Bachi, don't, you begged as he pushed you back to the bed. Bachi, stop, you snapped, but he just barked back at you and lay his ears back. No, you begged, your hands starting to tremble. Just then there was a loud banging on your door. Oi! You heard Bakugo's unmistakable voice from the other side of your door. What's happening? Bakugo, help! You called in a wobbly voice that was getting weaker and weaker by the second. Don't break through my door though, it's open! Next second the door flew open and there was Bakugo in his boxers and a tank top. Bachi, you bastard! He growled at your yokai. Get out of the way! Bachi turned to Bakugo and dropped down to his belly, crawling on the floor with his whole body pushed to the ground, head lowered and tail wagging as he simultaneously apologised and begged for forgiveness. Yin, come! Bakugo then called, holding out a hand towards you, and you staggered over to him and grabbed onto his hand, which he then used to pull you into his side. Stay here, damn yokai. I've got her. Don't let anyone into this room. Got it? And immediately Bachi sat up at attention and remained still. I'll bring her back, Bakugo said, before lifting you up and swinging your legs over his other arm so he was carrying you bridal style. Embarrassment overtook you and you clung around his neck, your face buried into it as he took you down the hall to the kitchen. You need food, right? You're shaking, he said. Please, you whispered. Something sugary. My blood sugar's low. Bakugo nodded and put you down on the lounge and then walked to the fridge and opened it, spotting his chocolate milk and pulling it out to bring it over to you. Drink this, he said, holding it out to you. It's cold and sweet. Thank you, you said as you took it in shaky hands and started guzzling it down. It feels weird without Bachi here. This is the first time he's obeyed anyone else except me. You need me around, Bakugo replied calmly as he sat down on a chair opposite you and crossed his arms across his chest, legs spread open. From now on you call me, and only me. I'm the only one who can handle Bachi, and I can get you anything you need. You got it? You nodded. Thank you, Bakugo, you said gratefully. Don't thank me, he said. You're my responsibility now, he added. Is that a little too much? You asked. People will think you're my boyfriend if you say that. Let them think that, he replied with a smirk. Tell them that I am. I'm the best one here to be your boyfriend anyway. You squeaked. Are you sure about that? You don't mind being my boyfriend? I already said that I was the best one. You won't find a better boyfriend than me, he added. If I can dominate your quirk, then I can be your boyfriend. Plain and simple. Okay. Well, I'm not going to complain, you replied, taking another sip of your chocolate milk. Thank you, Bakugo. It's boyfriend, not Bakugo, he replied with a smirk. Oh, sorry, boyfriend, he replied with a grin. Okay, aggressive, but slay Bakugo, and there ends that one shot. Stay tuned for next week, another comfort / save from your own quirk. I don't know what's coming up, but it'll be up next week. I'll see you then.